G'day ladies and gents, and welcome to Battlefleet Gothic with Mags. So this is a little something new that I want to bring to the channel. This is a game that I've been watching for some time. For those who are unfamiliar with the IP, Battlefleet Gothic Armada is based on the Battlefleet Gothic tabletop game made by Games Workshop. It's a tabletop based in the Warhammer 40k universe, which you may be familiar from either from the tabletop directly or from games such as Dawn of War. However, Battlefleet Gothic focuses entirely around fleet combat, space fleet combat. Now, what the developers of Battlefleet Gothic Armada have done is basically take the original rulebook from the tabletop game and directly translate it into a real-time strategy. That is why the game plays on a 2D plane rather than 3D being in space. It is because it is still following the rules as close to as possible to the rules of the tabletop. Now, being as the tabletop is turn-based and the game is obviously real-time, they have had to adapt some things. So, for example, things on the tabletop happen in turns. Your obviously turns do not exist within a real-time strategy. So what they've done is, for example, a weapon system that can only be operated once per turn in the tabletop will have a 60-second cooldown on the real-time strategy. However, that's enough of going into the details about the game too much. At this point, the game is in beta. It went into beta at the start of the month. It looks like it's going to come out of beta by the end of the month. I was going to review it about now, but after finding out its release date is going to be so soon, I'm going to hold off on that and wait till the game is fully out and I've had a chance to play the single-player campaign as well as a good look over the rest of the game, the other races that are currently not available in the beta, and I will do my review then. Today we're just going to have a look at the multiplayer, and I'm playing the Imperial fleet. The Imperial fleet is one of the most powerful factions within the game. However, it is important for me to let you know that they are not the faction that I normally primary. I'm more of a Chaos guy myself. But anyways, getting past that. Now, the initial part of this battle, I deployed in my deployment zone inside of a gas cloud. Now, the gas clouds hide your position from the enemy team. Generally, at any point in the match, if you are revealed, the opposing player cannot tell what ships you have, but they will be able to see the location of your ships on the map, unless you're running the ability Silent Running or you're inside of a gas cloud. Now, I had a gas cloud in my deployment zone. I deployed my ships there. I tried to activate Silent Running and then run my ships through to the next gas cloud in order to be able to set up an ambush further ahead. Unfortunately, Silent Running didn't last long enough, and my ships were revealed for a split second before they made the next gas cloud, so I've decided instead just to go full assault. That being said, I am going to be a little cautious here. I do know that the enemy fleet has 3 ships. I'm going to pull myself into this gas cloud and then just hold here for a moment and see whether or not I can get a visual on them before they can spot me, so I can pick my first target to Alpha. Now, this particular game mode is called Cruiser Clash. There is a number of different mission types that you can get that randomly pop up in the multiplayer. This is essentially a fleet versus fleet deathmatch. Now, the 2 enemy ships did just launch a volley of torpedoes at me, and they've actually given away more information than they probably should have by doing so. What they revealed to me is the dot that just disappeared is actually a cruiser class vessel. It fired 4 torpedoes. I knew that one was going to be an escort class vessel because it only fired 2 torpedoes. 2 plus a 1 lets me know that there is probably going to be another cruiser in there, and they've gone for exactly the same deployment that I've gone for. So quickly focusing my fire onto the escort vessel first and just eliminating it, getting rid of it. I've activated an ability called Lock on Target. What this does with my Lance capable light cruisers increases my critical strike rating on the Lance weapon, which fires directly out the front, by 300% for as long as the ability is active. This allows me to put a lot of damage on target quickly. I'm also using Lightning Strikes, which is a rapid boarding action that allows me to potentially disable or critically damage an internal component on the enemy ships. Unfortunately, my 2 Lightning Strikes fail. Now, while it's a little disappointing to get a double fail on Lightning Strikes, it would have been nice to disable some internal components. I'm still able to put a large amount of firepower down on this light cruiser. I've nearly got it destroyed. And then it makes a massive mistake here. He turns the ship in to fire, so I quickly put my engines to all ahead and ram destroy the enemy light cruiser. So that's it out of the battle. Because yes, ramming enemy ships in the Imperial fleet is not only a viable tactic, but as you can see from the design of the prows of these ships, it's actually something they are designed to do. Continuing to apply fire to the enemy's last and final remaining light cruiser. If I destroy this, it's all over. Unfortunately, he does manage to get enough damage out to destroy my escort, to which the execute button pops up. What actually just happened then is seeing the escort ship get destroyed caused the captain of my light cruiser to freak out, and he was about to try and walk the ship off the battlefield. The execute button was quite literally me giving the command to execute the captain of the ship. Yes, if you try and quit or leave a battle or run away in my fleet, you'll find yourself very quickly on the wrong side of the airlock door. Now at that point, the enemy cruiser just tried to warp out. Another lightning strike came through and successfully interrupted the warp out, allowing me to easily park my cruisers on each side of his ship, opening up full broadsides, and that's the end of the battle. Enemy ship eliminated. Now you might be wondering, why would you try and warp a ship out in a real-time strategy game? I mean, why quit? You're just quitting the battle? Is that all you were doing? Not quite. In Battlefleet Gothic Armada, everything is persistent, including your ships in multiplayer. So if you have a ship that is critically damaged, it will appear critically damaged after the battle, and you will have to spend resources either repairing it, or the ship will be unavailable for a certain amount of time for future multiplayer battles until repairs are done. Likewise, if a ship is destroyed, it becomes even more expensive to replace, as replacements are far more expensive than repairs, but ships that are destroyed can also receive debuffs that cannot be removed outside of putting the debuff ship back into combat, and those debuffs can seriously affect performance of the ship in the future. In multiplayer battles, you'll find it's very common that when an opposing player realizes that he's in a situation where he is going to lose a very important ship within his fleet, or the battle itself is unwinnable and he is going to lose all of his ships, for him to begin trying to warp his ships out of the battle in order to avoid those repairs and to avoid those debuffs, citing that it's better to lose this battle and rescue most of your fleet than it is to lose this battle and lose all of your fleet at the same time. But anyways, we're off at the next battle now, and this is a slightly larger point battle. This is a 400 point battle, and we've stepped it up a notch. I've deployed 2 light cruisers, the same 2 light cruisers from the last battle, but this time rather than an escort ship, I also have a cruiser on the battlefield. This cruiser is equipped with a Nova cannon. Now, initially I was trying to set up an ambush until I realized that this is exactly what the enemy was doing as well. If you look at the map and the north side of the map on the left hand side, you'll see there's a gas cloud in his deployment zone. Now, his ships have never been visible at all during this match. The distance between that gas cloud and the next gas cloud is too far to make during silent running, and the enemy team has 5 ships. So all 5 of the enemy ships are currently hidden inside of this one gas cloud. Working out where he was and how he had set himself up, I've spread my ships wide, and the off chance that one of his ships is also equipped with a Nova cannon, which is one of the most powerful and long-range weapons in the entire Battlefleet Gothic universe, or the Warhammer 40k universe rather, the Battlefleet Gothic game. And I've set my Nova cannon equipped cruiser up in a position where it can continually shoot the gas cloud once every 60 seconds until the enemy team decides to come out of the gas cloud and come play. I'm not going to go over there and let him ambush me, he's coming out to me. And sure enough, 1 Nova cannon shot straight into the gas cloud, and we have 4 ships, and there's number 5. All 5 ships out of the gas cloud. Yes, sunshine, I may not be feeling too great at the moment, but I'm not entirely stupid. Unfortunately, you are. Now, the player on this side hasn't realised it, but he's actually just given away his entire fleet composition. You'll notice he's fired torpedoes, exactly the same as the last ship did. Now, to be able to fire that many torpedoes from a single ship, the ship in the centre of his fleet, it has to be a cruiser. Now, with the points limitation of this particular match, the only way he can have 5 ships is to have 1 cruiser and 4 escort class vessels. And at least one of those escort class vessels is equipped with torpedoes. A second set of torpedoes coming out lets me know that 2 of them are now torpedo vessels, and I'm getting beam shots coming through, so I know the other 2 escorts are equipped with Lancer beams mounted to the prow, so I actually know the full composition of his entire fleet before I ever spot him, without having to use a probe to identify. And his ability with the torpedoes is... I've seen better. But anyways, primary focus is of course going to be on the cruiser. He's just micro warp jumped the cruiser over so I can get a good broadside on the side of my light cruisers. That's perfectly fine. It's put him directly into a position where I can send in a boarding party and I get a boarding success, internal fire, and it looks like disabled systems on board. And both of my light cruisers have been reconfigured this particular round. While they are still capable of doing everything that they were doing before, they've now been set up so that inside of 3,000 units, or minimum cannon range, their shells will actually now ignore armor. So by getting to such a close range, he's effectively made it so that the armor on his cruiser is entirely irrelevant. He does get a strike on the prow of my ship with his torpedoes then, but the damage is nothing. And he sees exactly what's coming and how much damage he's taking at this point. I'm trying to move my cruiser in close enough to get a lightning strike out. I get it within range, but it won't give me the lightning strike icon, so I'm unable to interrupt the warp out, and his cruiser manages to escape. Now, I potentially could have stopped that if I had gone to all ahead full on my cruiser to close distance faster, or if I had not done my second lightning strike on one of my cruisers, I could have potentially interrupted that warp out. Unfortunately for me, I didn't, so he managed to escape. He's managed to avoid the debuffs and the repair costs to bring his cruiser back online. For me, I lost some renown. Obviously, destroying larger, more expensive ships is worth more and gets you more resources in the long run. Renown being the primary resource. But it has left me with 4 escorts to deal with. Now, these things are light, they're nippy, they're fast, they have almost no health. And you can see that by the fact that that particular one just rammed my cruiser and killed itself. Now, you can't warp the escorts out of the battlefield, or there's no point in doing so. These are basically the ships that you purchase with the points remaining after you've selected your primary ships. They're the filler. But you can do some damage with them if you're good enough. I try a Nova Cannon shot there, unfortunately it misses. The Nova Cannon is incredibly powerful, but it is somewhat inaccurate. The little escort here is pushing my light cruiser all over the place here. Unfortunately, not enough. I get a lightning strike on him. Once again, it's a failure. Once again, he goes for another ram, and he's somewhat successful with it. However, he does more damage to his own ship than he does to mine. His second last escort's been destroyed. Initiate a high power turn on my light cruiser and hit him with a broadside, takes out the last of his escorts, and that is the end of that mission. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of strategy and quite a lot of micromanagement that goes into multiplayer Battlefleet Gothic Armada. And I'm really impressed with how the developers have translated the tabletop rules into a real-time strategy, and it plays so well. Now keep in mind, everything you've seen here so far is only early Imperial fleet. My Imperial fleet is only about rank 4. I'm primarily a Chaos player, that's where most of my time has gone into, and I'll probably show off part of the Chaos fleet next time. Until then, as I said at the start of the video, I am planning on doing a review on this game. However, it looks like it's not going to be too long until it actually comes out, so I am going to wait until the game is fully out and I get to play with all of its features before I review it. Between now and then, anything I show off is probably going to be some of the multiplayer battles as I go up through the ranks, show some of the large ships, some of the strategies involved. Hopefully I'll get access to some of the higher level stuff in either Chaos or Imperial soon, the really top end stuff, where I can start getting 2,000 point battles, where you can really start putting some units on the tabletop and show you what some of the high end strategy actually looks like. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this game. Until next time, click like if you do, subscribe if you want to see more. May the Emperor's light guide and protect you, and I'll catch you in the void.